les intervenants parce que je veux pas que ce soit une conversation juste entre nous trois. Donc, levez la main. Vraiment, on est très, très open. Alors, ma première question pour vous, c'est comment vous définirez, how would you define in your own role, what is a country launcher? Qu'est-ce qu'un country launcher?
I mean, it's from my perspective, a country launcher is that one person that leads or makes an effort to create something out of nothing. Simple. So that one person that goes into a space and tries to create something out of nothing or nothing that exists at the moment. Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, so for me, I think that, like Elliot have said, my definition of it is like bring the country from the state of 0 to 1, basically, and also be the person that will be the ambassador of the company's cultures and structures, and make sure that the company is well set from the beginning, but also like it's a lot of chaos at the beginning. We maybe talk about it, but like launch the country from 0 to 1, and advocate for the culture and the operations, how we work, and yeah.
Me, I'm very interested in the chaos part. I want to know if we start with Salim, for example. When you start in a country like day one, what do you do? Because even here in Cote d'Ivoire, you still, even though everyone is using Wave, sometimes you will encounter someone who say, no, I don't want to use that. Or you think that the app is very simple, but you will still find people struggling. So how do you start from scratch and have people who start using a product that no one is using around them?
Well, I think that it's depend from startup to startup, but Wave is like operating in network effect startup, right? So for Wave to work, for you to accept Wave is because you know someone who is going to accept Wave or someone you are going to do. So talking about the chaos, like you are literally the one-man army when you start. Obviously, you have a lot of more resources coming in. But basically, the country launcher is the one that knows the companies. I won't say playbook because like playbook can vary from market to market, but know how the companies operate. You know, what is the most important thing when we launch at Wave? We have a lot of important things, but the network is important. The agent network, the liquidity is important. And at first, you have to be the one that's going to build it. So I will just call it like being a one-man army. And when you have team joining, at some point you'll have to train the team for them to understand what you do, even though the company have all the resources for that, but on the ground you are the front desk of it. Onboarding the first agent, training the first agent. But one of the thing I love from it, like in the job description, is not a 9 to 5 job. Not all the day are the same, and sometimes you'll be there on Sunday and you'll receive a call that someone sent money to a remote area where you are not there yet, but they are too excited, so they send there, and you have to drive your car with money and go to deliver to them, or find a way to make sure that the customer is happy. So it's just all these small tricks that you do, and you build the network and the products and the habits as you keep growing. So yeah, that's how I will kind of put it.
When you say that it's not a 9 to 5 job, I want to ask you, Elliot. For example, let's say that when you launch in RDC or in Zambia, like who say that how many hours a country launcher work in a week? Like when do you start and when do you end?
You don't have a starting time, you don't have an ending time. So you're working round the clock to meet specific deadlines. So you've mapped out that, okay, you want to launch on this date. You need to be able to do or meet all the necessary things that you've mapped out in your project schedule to get on that date. So you're working round the clock. You're working from Monday to Sunday. 6 a.m. you're awake till like round the clock. So the only time you get is like a few times to take like a nap, but because you want to make it happen, you need to be able to like work round the clock. So there's no time schedule for this job, especially at the beginning when you want to launch.
So let's say that you want to launch a new country for Yongo. What do you start? Where do you start?
I mean, First, you need to believe in the country. So you would have done your research and looked at all the macro indicators and see that, okay, this is a profitable country for the business. After your research, you then need to go onto the ground and get all the necessary information. I mean, confirm what you have found online. So you need to collect all the necessary data and make sure that it makes sense. Build a case because I mean, you want to launch a country, but you don't control the finances to be able to do that. So you need to be able to get buy-in of people that are interested in that. Then once you're done with that,
Say people, are you talking people within the company?
of course, people within the company. I mean, your bosses. So you need to get their buy-in. Then after that, once you're done and you have the clear goal, now you start putting together all the various teams that you need to go and launch because you need to prep them and give them all the necessary information. When you were going on the ground to gather all the data, they were not there with you. So you have to bring them up to speed and set all the timelines. Then you start deploying. So you need your tech team, you need your marketing team, all the various teams. You need to set deadlines and deploy them. Then now you get onto the ground and start executing all the things that you've mapped out until launch day, then you deploy. So these are the basic steps that needs to happen.
Okay, I have a follow-up question, and this time is as someone who is working that way. Yes, I do. But because I'm curious to talk about marketing and having a launch date and everything. For example, at Wave, we will not do marketing at the beginning because we still need to find the customer and everything. So it means that at Yongo, for you, you start with like a big marketing launch.
Of course, marketing is very key. You need your customers to be able to use the application. They need to know the application at the end of the time, at the end before the start of the business. So it's very suicidal when you launch and you don't have like users trying to use the application.
Question. We have a question.
If you guys can speak a little
Louder.
Okay.
Okay. Hi, I had a quick question. We keep talking about country launching, but can you maybe describe what is the first task? Are we talking about you get into a country, or do you have a lot of things to do even before you get there?
I mean, first, that's why I said you need to believe in the country. So when you believe in the country, you do all your desktop research. That does not require you to be in the country. After you confirm all those numbers and you think it is exciting, then now you go into the country, gather the data to confirm what you have found online. Because you can find something online, but you get there and it's a different story altogether. So once you get in there, you see everything for yourself. Okay, it makes sense. It's exciting. Let's go.
So part of the job will be to propose a few countries to try to research first and then launch a few of them or one out of the ones you propose.
Exactly. You need to have a pipeline or build a pipeline of countries that interest you or fall into the indicators that you're looking for.
We have another question.
By the time, Wave is, operating in financial space. So on top of what he say, the license, you need a license to operate it. It's a strictly regulated space, right? So it's something that happened within months or years. But yeah, everything is still valid. So we have this high level scouting, research, and then we have on the ground scouting that help us guide, if it's a go or no go or how we are going to see the launch. But yeah, it's different from startup to startup. These things are true, but we are in finance, so licensing is, the most important thing to have as well. I mean, one of the most important things.
Good evening. What does it take to become a country manager, and also what's your background? How did you end up in this position?
Salim?
Yeah, we have
Both of
also
us.
have a question on the chat on that. So just to add it up, so before your country launcher role, what was your position, like your background, and how was your transition, basically? So it's quite related to the question here.
Okay.
So what did you study?
Okay. So I studied computer science for my first degree, and my second degree I studied project management. Um, but I started as a harbor expert. Harbor expert. So harbor experts in Yango are people that attend to drivers when they have issues and they visit the office to have their issues resolved. Um, Dealing with our various partners because the partners are those that are providing the transportation services. So we interface between the business and them. So that's how I started. I didn't know anything about country launching, but I grew over the years from a harbor expert to a city manager in Accra. And then from a city manager, then I moved into the launch role. It was an opportunity that came. And out of all the people in the team, I believe at that point I was the most dedicated or the most hardworking person. So my bosses saw it fit like this guy can do the job. So they just pulled me into the team. And I mean, I've not disappointed. For me to be able to handle the role from 2022 to 2025 and transition into a GM, I mean, you can see that I've put in some work. So that's a bit about me. I hope I answered your question. Thank you.
Well, I've learned how to, look at the earth, like, so I studied geography actually, and I have a degree in it, and then geography, yeah. So they show me how to look at the earth scale. So I can say that the earth is not flat for sure. And then, I quickly dropped out from university from my master, learned how to code back in the time. Yeah. Anyway, so online learning, so and have a company building software for other companies. So I end up working with telcos and being in government at some point. But everything I'm saying here, I can't prove it. Like, believe it or not, it's just like that. So I've got frustrated at some point. I want to build something I can show to people. So that's how I got into startup place. And then fail, and built something like Yango Daily for people, or Glovo, like a full suite in Benin, raise some money, beat up Gozem in Benin. I love saying that story all the time because there is some insider who can know about it anyway, and then leave that startup broke again and join Gozem. So if you don't know, Gozem is like a kind of Yango at some point, every size respected. But but so yeah, I mean, it's a super app where you have a bunch of service in it, and scale up the e-commerce department in Togo, and then move from deputy country manager position, and then join Wave. Yeah, that's how that basically. So received the GD from Kiani. I can say it. One day I was just coming to relocate to Abidjan, have my apartment here, and I see it. I apply it, and 10 days after I got the job. So yeah, that's that's the story.
But I must add that you don't need a specific, or you don't need to study anything specific in school to become a country launcher. What it takes is dedication, passion, hard work. I mean, you need to be like a hard worker. Once you have these things, you can transition and be in the role and be able to do it. So you don't need a specific or study anything specific in school to do this. Of course, you need to know the product, but I mean, you have to get in, believe in the product, then you can go sell the product or push the product out there. But that should start with your own inner ability, the things that you can do yourself. Yeah.
I had so many questions.
Sorry.
We were
Sorry, I just wanted to add something. And this is just more around the background part of the question you asked. So actually being a country manager, as Elliot said, it has nothing to do with your background. You could have studied medicine, you could have studied finance, whatever, right? To be honest, being a launcher is more about grit, right? It's just think about it like you're starting a business. That's what it is. So if any of you here have started a business before, that's almost what your country launcher is. You have an idea and you want to bring that idea to life. That's just basically what we're trying to do. So it's kind of this whole 0 to 1 thing. So you have as much information as you want, you need to believe in it. So if you don't believe in the product that you're trying to build or to create for a user, so either that being a driver, a passenger, whatever your target audience is, it will never work, right? So it's more about your personality and your belief in what that thing is that allows that thing to actually come to life. So they've even me just giving this whole thing that there have been situations even at Yango where we have tried to build something and it was very difficult. And even our bosses almost thought that we're just wasting money and burning cash. But we believed in it and pushed that, okay, give us X amount of time and we'll turn it around. And that's kind of what birthed one of the countries that we currently have today, which is one of the, I would like call it the rising stars in our business right now, which is Botswana. Trust me, a year ago, it probably would have been dead. But it's just the belief that got us to that point where it's, the business has now grown to what it is now. So I just wanted to add that.
Thank you. And also, I like the fact that we have different perspectives with like the different country launcher and the rules. So please do add your point of view.
So we have some question in the chat. Maybe we can take the question in the chat first because they were kind of pending. So Bakari asked in the chat, how much agency? How much agents to you? Bakari, maybe if you can open your mic. I think there is a typing error here. So if you can open your mic.
Yeah, sorry about that. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks for hosting this panel. My question was, as a country launcher, how much agency do you have over the product that you're actually launching in the country? Like, there's a PM or a product owner that has ownership of the product, and you're kind of more of a execution arm of like, all right, cool, like we have this product, it's already set, we're going to launch it in said country? Or do you have agency as a country launcher that allows you to be able to say, oh, well, this product is this way, and based on what I know on the ground here, I'm able to make these changes and these changes? Or is it kind of just like set in stone and you're kind of just pushing it out into the world?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think I understand the questions. Like in my case, and mostly in the case of Wave, like basically you don't launch a country alone. Obviously, you are maybe the first person in the ground and started, but you have the tech people that know exactly, how to do the job. You have the, data analysis, you have all the team, you have the compliance team. But as a country launcher, you are the lead of the country. Most operations oriented. And yeah, that's not the question.
Yeah, but I think that if I understand very well the question is, let's say that you go to Kinshasa and you're like, okay, maybe this product will be better in this country, or maybe we should change this product to adapt it to like this new country. Do you have agency over that? I think that at Wave, we use the same product everywhere. We don't have like one product team for one specific country. But because the product is quite straightforward, I don't know for Yango.
I mean, it's the same for us. The same product will fit in every country. Just that sometimes you have countries with specific needs, so you try to like tweak it a bit to meet those things. But there's a standard product that will fit in everywhere.
When you have like this small thing that you want to change, are you the owner of that? Do you just share it with the tech team and the product manager is going to take care of that? Like what happened?
I mean, you need to escalate it, explain it so that everyone can understand what the problem is. And then they devise the solution and tech team will work on it and deploy it.
Can you give us an example of something you had to change in a country?
I mean, so for example, I'll use Ghana as an example. When in Ghana, we had an area whereby it was becoming like increasingly a bit difficult for drivers to go there at certain time of the night. So then we had to turn on a feature that warned them that, okay, this trip is coming from this area or is going to this area, just be careful. So on the normal, it doesn't exist in the product, but you need to find a way to put it there to make sure that the drivers, exactly.
Yeah, but yeah, obviously in the case of Wave, the product is the same everywhere. But when we launch a new country, we focus on what matters the most. So if I show you like my app from DRC is just the button transfer. So someone from CI who go to DRC will be like, what's going on in this app? But but the other product will come in when the country will be at a more mature market or where we feel like the market is open to it. But we always start from the first principles in our case.
We had a-
This question is more for Elliot, but we talked about doing.
Yep.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So this question is more for Elliot, but we talked about doing marketing early in the launch. Do you believe that the approach, like Wave as of not doing marketing, is the good approach because we're in a different industry, or do you believe like all companies should be doing marketing very early in the launch?
I mean, it depends on the industry. Probably Wave over the years they've built certain experience and they know that, okay, not starting marketing early still gets them the results that they need. For us, it doesn't. You need to be able to have a certain base before you can actually deploy your product. So we have like certain benchmarks that we are looking at before you launch. So if by the launch date you've not been able to get the number of users that you need to download your application and install, I mean, you will move your launch until you get the required number, because without the users, you're not going to get trips. So it's every I would say every business and what they're looking at. So probably, I'm sure Salim over the years, they've built a certain experience and that allows them to deploy and then now start building on the customers. But for us, we need a certain base of customers to be able to start.
My question is more about experiences that you both have and also gut feelings. So what's the tipping point of leaving the country and what's the tipping point of is going to work? At what point in time you can make the call about both? I mean, those two things.
I mean, first, you believe in the country. That's why you're trying to do it in the first place. So the others, whether it's going to work depends on the effort that you put in, and you will see the growth in the beginning. I mean, the indicators are there. So you're looking at certain indicators, and once they start picking up, you will know that it's going to work. For example, Timmy gave an example about Botswana. It looked like it wasn't going to work, but then we had to put in a certain amount of work. Then it started working because we believed in it. So once you believe in it, it's definitely going to work.
I have a follow-up question from the chat. Someone asked, I think, LBK, what KPI do you use to measure the success of a launch?
I mean, for me, in my industry or for Yango, in the first weeks, I'm looking at the trips.
Number of trips.
How many trips we are doing. That is like very key. That's like your key benchmark. Like, okay, that's telling you whether it's working or not.
Earlier when we were talking, you gave me the example of RDC, where you have less trip, but every trip has a higher value because there are so many traffic. So like the average cost of one trip is higher in RDC versus other country. So in this case, were you still looking at the number of trip, or are you like, okay, we are making way more money?
No, I mean, the population is huge. So you are hoping to do more trips. So that was the bet. But now the reality on the ground would also show whether you're going to hit that number of trips or not. So that's where the distinction comes with DRC.
Well, I think that the question is a little bit tied with the first questions. I um at Wave we have different way of thinking, and what is valid today might change tomorrow. We have a lot of like 4 country launches here. We are get them after, but the whole point is like the most important thing, you will know if your product is working if you are having like week over week acquisition, and on top of all, a strong retention. In our case, because we are like again network effect product. So if you are having more and more people in your network who are staying more and more in your network, that's where that's how you know that it is working. And if you are not, then well, something's going on. So you need to figure out and do a lot of testing and et cetera, et cetera. And about the KPIs, like is more the transactions than the users. Is more of the transactions. So that's mainly the North Star metric. But again, like strong acquisition, week over week, strong acquisition, and strong retention rate. This is where you know that you're in good trajectories.
I have a question too. I know that the job is very hard, and we talk about create. Me, I think because sometimes I see like selling story on WhatsApp, and I'm like, that's a very crazy job. To be able to like to go in very foreign place and try to convince people. And my question is, do you have like just an anecdote for us, something like a moment where you were on the market, a new market, and it was like a make or break things for you because things were not as you were like, expecting, and you had to find a way. Like if you can share something with us.
Yeah, I think I have a scenario. Um, Mauritius. So we had to help one of our partners to launch sort of like Yango in Mauritius, but it was a white label. And it was difficult to help them get the kind of supply that they need. So
Tema of car, like I
yes,
car.
yes. So Mauritius is a tourist destination, and almost all these guys have they're doing their own thing out there. So this partner needs to find a way to convince these drivers and say, okay, come and use this application. And it is my job to help him do that. So it was very difficult. I had sleepless nights because of that. And if I don't help him deploy the service, I'm not leaving the island. So I really had sleepless nights because of that particular launch. But I mean, we found a way. We had to put in like double the work, double the efforts, help them, give them the strategy. Okay, do this, let's do this, let's do that. And they were able to deploy the service. I think this was 2024. Yeah. And they were able to do that. So, yes, the job is difficult. It can put you through a lot of stress. And trust me, it can be very depressing. But the rewards are fulfilling. So we keep doing it or we keep going back.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a break or like break or what? I don't know.
Make or break.
Make or break moment, like I mean, well, that's the story of Sierra Leone, and we came in Sierra Leone. We launched our operation in September 2024, and in June 2024, like literally 4 months before, like the biggest scam happened there, and the scam was like an app that was like Ponzi scheme, basically, but it was an app. And like maybe even here in CI, sometimes at the beginning, like a lot of people discovered mobile money through telcos. So for them, they assume that if you are doing mobile money, you have a SIM card, right? And so I was in one village, and people there, the literacy level is low. So it's a mix of a lot of things. So I got rejected, like, many times. But this is the lady, like Ketura Sheba, that's her name. I tried to convince her for more than like 2 months. And, she was really pushing back, like, I really don't want your product. And one day I see her, she was sitting there and was okay. Like in Sierra Leone, the women are the one, like supporting the economies. They are doing everything, farming, selling, everything. They are really brave. They are sending their the children to school and a lot of things. So shout out to them. But anyway, she was complaining about, oh, like, the school is coming and, this morning things. And bim, I got a light bulb. Since 2 months, I came and I sit down, close to her. I take my phone, open the calculatrice. And like, I know that you are sending, like, you are receiving more than 10,000 leon every day, but let's assume you are receiving 8,000 a day. How much you are paying with, ex-competitor? And she said like 180. I'm like, how much you will pay with Wave? She said 80 leon. I'm like, well, how much you're saving? She said 100 leon. I'm like, let's just assume that you are making that a week. And 1 year is 54 week. How much you're saving? She's like 40, like 5,400 a year, which is something like 150 000 CFA. I'm like, well, that you can just send your school with that money, or pay for medicine. And immediately she start crying, and give me the numbers of the people that we need. And I think up to today, she's still doing transaction every day. So like, this is one of the things that we can, yeah, we come across.
Question from the chat first. Okay, what are it's kind of what we asked. What are the main challenges that you face, and how did you manage them? Do you want to add something on that, or it's kind of what we just discussed?
Well, I mean, I think that the biggest challenge is trust. Like we are operating in a s- in like in the finance, and you have people to trust you with their money, right? And that's the biggest challenge to do so. I mean, to crack in a new country is the trust. Like if you're in CI or Senegal, like wave is wave, right? But like if you're in new countries, like you will be surprised by social media is sometimes different than the real life. Like, so yeah, the trust is the biggest challenge, but with experience and different thing, we usually overcome it.
I think for me, I would say the biggest challenge is the local expertise that you rely on. Most of the times, they are not passionate as you are, and they don't see the thing. I mean, they are not seeing the vision like the way you are seeing it. So they have a very lackadaisical attitude towards the work. They're not putting in the energy, they're not putting in the effort. It can be very frustrating. And that is one of the biggest challenge you have when you're a launcher and you're trying to deploy in a new country, the local expertise.
We had some question. I guess I will ask this question to because I think that I know the answer for Salim, but to everyone on the room, well, maybe country launcher, have you ever had a country where you went to launch but it didn't work out? I don't know if it happened to you.
Yeah, I mean, yes, we tried Cambodia, that is Southeast Asia. That's very far. I had to take a very long flight there. And it's very funny. Imagine like you're a black man and you show up there and like on the flight, you're the only black person in the flight. And you get into the country and they're like, what are you doing here? What are you coming to do here? Because everyone is white and you're the only black man. But we tried, it didn't work out. I mean, most of the times lunches are successful. A few times it doesn't work. I mean, there's nothing wrong in failing, but you have to like rebrand, regroup it, and go back and then do it again. So yes, we've that particular country didn't work out for us, and I think we have maybe Zimbabwe, also, yeah, that also didn't work. I mean, maybe in the future. Yes.
And how long did you stay in Cambodia before you said, okay, it's not working?
I mean, I stayed there for about 3 months. Yeah, I stayed there about 3 months. For lunches, I mean, for us, it's not like you go and you just come. You need to stay months before it works. So you have to go first few months, conduct your research, go another time, build your ops operations. Then now you go and then you lunch. When you go and lunch, you need to stay at least 3 months to make sure it is working before you can leave. If it is not working, you don't leave. You fix it before you leave. So if it's going to take you 4 or 5 months to make it work, you have to make it work. But over the years, we've gained the experience and we try to make it work at least in 3 months. It should be flying. Then you can leave and come home and have some sleep.
I think you answered the question.
Yeah, I think my question is also, I mean, I'm guessing you stay in countries for quite a long time, right? Or you study these countries for a long time. Don't you build attachments and like want to be the country manager? That you never get that sentiment.
Like you want to be the country manager?
Yeah, because you've built so much, you've worked, you've seen it from ground zero to level one, which looks different, but yeah.
I mean, that's the sad part of our job. We do all the hard work and the country managers come and take the, the glory. So I have so many stories like that, so many countries that I launched in Yango that are flying now, that are doing so well. And like the GMs are on top and they're chilling. So that's the sad part of our job.
Yeah, strongest. I agree with him.
And we are fortunate to have one of our biggest GMs here at the back who is chilling in Ethiopia.
Yeah, that's I laugh because like I recognize myself. Like you don't, well, like you can have attachment for a country, but you also know what is it like being a country launcher. And when you're in high pace moving environment than we do, Yongo is, I don't even know how many countries. Wave is in 10 countries, and we are keep growing. So well, like we hire as much as we can and as much as we have licenses, and but like if you are in position where there is a new country and you did most of the job that you have to do, you need to go. So like I'm a professional homeless. Like I don't even have an apartment. Wherever I go, I will just go and rent a car, rent an apartment. But this is part of the job. Yeah, but that's also a good part of what we do until like we have this GM chilling. Like what they say.
Bonsoir à tous. Elliot, Salim, merci pour ce partage d'expérience. Alors moi j'avais une question. Est-ce que il vous est déjà arrivé d'aller à l'encontre du headquarter sur une décision? Et comment vous avez géré la situation?
Ah, en fait, ça, c'est une très bonne question. J'ai beaucoup de chance en vrai, donc je peux pas. Voilà, c'est pas une réponse diplomatique, ça va peut-être sembler, mais c'est honnête. J'ai la chance de travailler dans une entreprise en fait où tous les jours c'est day one, littéralement. Et donc, nous avons une grande latitude d'expérimentation. Déjà, les prises de décision sont très rapides. Ça se fait en un petit Google Docs. Bullet point, tu expliques pourquoi. Et on a la chance d'avoir en fait un CEO déjà en fait qui a fait le launch, donc qui sait ce que c'est et qui sait que ce qui est vrai dans un marché ne l'est pas forcément dans un autre marché. Et donc, non, franchement, c'est pas diplomatique, c'est vrai. J'ai juste la chance d'être dans une entreprise où on n'en est pas encore arrivé là. Ça veut pas dire qu'on va peut-être pas arriver dans ce truc-là. Après, on a de la latitude qui nous permet aussi d'expérimenter des choses d'abord avant de demander la permission. Et du coup, si ça ne marche pas, bon, on assume. Si ça marche, on partage l'expérience. Mais dans tous les cas, en fait, on apprend toujours et on a cette latitude-là. Donc, ouais, je dirais que j'ai une chance parce que c'est pas toujours le cas.
If I have to translate, yeah, but I want to translate the question for Elliot. The question was, did you ever do something on the ground that maybe your HQ was not okay with? Like,
Oh, I mean, we've been doing it over the years, so I know what the business wants and what the business doesn't want. So stick to the plan, execute, and make it work.
So sorry, I just had a quick question for you related to what he asked earlier. So you keep saying you need to believe in the country. What if they send you to a country you don't believe in?
You can never be sent to a country you don't believe in.
What do you mean?
No, it's not possible. I mean, we must all align. The entire business must all align and believe in it. So if we are looking at the numbers, it should make sense to all of us. If it doesn't make sense to anyone in the business, then we are not going. Hope you understand. But by the time, if my boss is telling me that, okay, let's go and launch this country, then of course he has looked into the numbers. He is convinced. He has managed to convince me that, okay, this and this and this would work. And that's why I said that it's one thing looking at the macro economics of the country. From afar, it looks like gloomy. Or you're looking at the GDP and all those things. But when you would have to go there and go and do the research. So I can go back, go do the research, and come and tell him that, oh, this will not work. Of course, we've looked into countries that we felt is going to work, but you go collect the actual data, you bring it back, and you look like, no, it's not going to work. Let's not try it. So if we decide that we are going to do it, then we have collected all those data and we are sure that it's going to work.
I have a follow-up question on that because I know in Africa sometimes we have numbers that doesn't reflect the reality when you are on the ground. Do you have an example of a country where you have all the macro? It seems like, okay, that's the best opportunity. And then when you go on the ground, we're like, this is rubbish.
No, I don't have any example like that. In fact, it's rather the opposite, whereby the macros doesn't support your business ideas or what you would actually look at before launching in the country, but you take the risk, you do it, and it works. So we have examples like that.
A question from the chat. If you had to say your biggest pain point in trying to launch in Africa, an African country, you talk about supply. No, you talk about trust. You talk about like trying to convince people on the ground, local expertise. Do you have another big pain point?
I mean, for me, one of the big pain points is flight connectivity in Africa and visa. So there are countries that it's difficult to get in. There are countries that I've been to that you would. So let me give you a typical example. I want to go to Botswana, but I am not getting visa to Botswana. I am applying, or I've applied several times. I'm not getting the visa. But as a Ghanaian, I have visa free to South Africa. So what do? I take a flight from Ghana to South Africa. Then I have a contact in Botswana that can help me get some kind of visa at the land border to enter Botswana. So then I go by bus. You see the work we go through as a country launcher. So I have to go by bus for like about 6 hours, travel from Johannesburg to Botswana. That's the only way I can enter into Botswana and go and launch Botswana. Now I have 2 weeks visa in Botswana. How do I do everything in 2 weeks? If I want to extend my visa, I need to exit Botswana and go to South Africa. So I have to take another bus, go to South Africa for a few days, and come back again. So flight connectivity is a problem, and visa restrictions in Africa is a really big pain point as a launcher.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up because, like, I kind of take it as normal now that okay, let me give you one example. In DRC, I'm surprised that I don't talk about DRC. Like, it's normal to do 3 hours in the traffic jam. Like, if you want to do 6 kilometers, for sure. Like, DRC, Congo,
DRC.
Kinshasa, for sure. And then you want to take.
I mean, it's
I don't know. I see why you're laughing, but
is there someone from DRC here? Ah.
But and then you want to take motorbikes, and then you will take the motorbikes, and then you will take the opposite way of the highway without helmet, like, and you are like, what's going on, Anyway, so like basic commodities like lights, electricity. I've been to Sierra Leone, huh? In a village. And I get there, and the only like consommateur électrique, I don't know the word in English, like exploded. And the people that can fix it are not in the country. And so for 2 months, there's no electricity. And I was in a hotel. And like we are fortunate enough so that I was in a hotel where we can only have electricity from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. every day without AC. And so this little thing, like, electricity, internet, I want road network because we travel a lot. So road networks, you know, yeah. like, yeah, it's even overwhelming that I tend to forget about it.
I think the DRC example is enough to summarize everything. If you've been to that city, the traffic is very crazy. So I have a 2 p.m. flight. For me to get to the airport and get that 2 p.m. flight, I need to leave my hotel in Gombe around 8 a.m.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So anything beyond that, I am missing that flight. I mean, Sabine is here. She can share experience. We've been there. So it's crazy. And these are the things that you go through to be able to like launch a country.
It made me think of a conversation that we often have in Tech Republic, a group chat. Yeah, I want to stop too. We often talk about how hard it is to build in Africa because there is no strong infrastructure for you to build a successful startup on top of it. And when you want to start a startup, you need to build the infrastructure yourself. When in other parts of the world, you have government, you have like public sectors that help you build all that. So yeah, I just want to make like a note because we talk every month, we have this conversation. In the chat, on a more personal note, in this case, how do you balance your professional and personal life as a country launcher?
As a country launcher, I mean, you don't have a personal life because your life revolves around the work that you're doing. So you're spending most of the time out of your country, out of your home. You are out there trying to make the thing work. You come back to your country and like maybe maximum, maybe like 1 month, and you have to go again. So you miss out on a lot of important personal engagements that you would have loved to take part in. So it becomes difficult trying to like balance the two. There's always a shift on your work life more than your personal life.
Well, uh, support plan for country launches. For example, every 4 months, we have weeks off, which is not part of the annual vacation. We have 2 weeks off. We have a good family plan, for example. So like, I can have my family with me. So whenever I'm at home, I'm with my family. Obviously, it's not a 9 to 5 job. Like, that's for sure. Like you can work on Sundays, like, you're always around it to make it work because like you have to be like an entrepreneur. But yeah, experience will vary from one person to another. For example, I know that, for you go to 3 months in sprint and then it's different for us. For example, you go, you never know when you are going to come back. Yes, I did 1 year in Sierra Leone. So so I just love what I'm doing. And as long as I am in an environment where everything is stimulating, I can travel, have days off, weeks off. I never ask myself that question. I don't feel depressed. So I just like what I'm doing.
So maybe not a question for Salim, or I don't know, but Sabine said, "How do you manage your mental health as a country launcher?" I guess if you are deep into your job and you love it, maybe you don't think about your mental health.
Yeah, let me finish with it. I mean, I care a lot about my mental health. That's why I will never do a job that I don't feel comfortable with. I don't think I'm going to be comfortable being a GM, for example, because it's going to be too boring for me. Excuse me, I'm not, but because now you are chilling, so I can say that to you. So first is about loving what you do, and second, when I want to enjoy, I enjoy fully. I went to vacation, I turn off all my Slack, all my professional WhatsApp. I was only with my family and forget about the work. Only the last day where I received this email from my flight company. So if I want to disconnect, I disconnect like 100%, and then when I came in at 100%. That's how I think I can balance this thing.
I mean, for me, I value my mental health like very, very serious. I take it very serious because the work that we do comes with a lot of pressure. So it's always good to like take time off, try to cool, especially on days where I feel like I'm a little overwhelmed. I can just close my laptop like the whole day and just try and relax, refresh, and come back with a new energy. And I mean, try to like take time off when I have some time in Ghana, just try and get some good relaxation and then come back refreshed. And I mean, your bosses also know that okay, this is like having a toll on you. So sometimes they tell you, oh, because last year HR wrote to me, they're like, oh, we know like you've worked hard over the years or over the months. Just try and take your vacation serious. So I had to like put in the vacation and then go for like a whole month and get some rest, have like good family time, conversation. These are the things that help you like come back to like your real self, and then you come back to the job like real energized. So yes, it's good to take your mental health like very serious if you're a country launcher, because it comes with like a lot of pressure. Trust me, if you're trying to make it work.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, thank you for bringing that out. Even in my company, we have a system. First, I have my manager in the room. But yeah, like he will be the first. I will say, no, I'm not going to vacation. And say, yeah, I think you need a vacation. And so, we are also in that environment, and we even have this Slack thing. So whenever you are managing someone, there's a time where that person needs to go to vacation, and you will have the message on your Slack until you let that person go. So yeah, I just want to add that as you talk about your HR, yeah, I think that also my manager, in our managers, because there are a lot of countries really push on that, which is also good. Yeah.
A question from the chat. If we go back to like more strategic question, how do you go about the competition when you land? Like you come into a new country.
What do you do about the competition?
How do you manage that?
I mean, by the time you're going into the new country, you already know your competition. You've already analyzed them. You know where you want to beat them. I mean, we're not going into the country to become the other player or the second player. We want to win. We want to be number one. So obviously, we want to be number one spots. We don't want to kill the competition. I mean, if we had our own way, we'll kill them, but we don't want to kill them. We want to be number one, and so that they can be the other players, because competition is also good. It allows you to stay on guard and make sure you provide the right service. So we analyze the competition, get all the various information, insights about them, then we deploy, of course, to become number one.
What?
Yeah.
And this was the question I had from the get-go, and this is directly to Elliot. Full disclosure, I was a old Gozemi, so I used to work at Gozem. Can you give us a clear example of things the competition sometimes does in the countries that you are launching that you have to navigate and that not shouldn't be part of a playbook, for example?
It's a very tough question. I'm figuring out how to. No, I mean, Gozem. So a typical example, let's say in Benin, you have GOSEM signing exclusivity contracts with drivers on the streets and say, okay, don't go and work with the competition. But then it's supposed to be a free market. And we are an informational service provider. We are a tech company. Our partners are providing the transportation, and this drivers should be able to choose whoever they want to work with any of our partners that we have on the grounds. So for the competition to say, okay, sign an exclusivity contract with me, do not work with anyone, honestly, it doesn't make sense. And we don't do that, or our partners do not do that. The drivers and even within our partners, if let's say a partner is having this driver and this driver is not providing, or the partner is not providing good services for this driver, that particular driver can move to another partner. So there should be open market to operate. But unfortunately, GOSEM do not do that. And the drivers do not like that. I don't know if they don't know that the drivers do not like that. But what you are telling them not to do, that is what they actually, so they will sign the exclusivity with you, but they will still come to the partners and work with them. Now, I don't know how they manage to check that exclusivity, but also it puts some fear in some of the drivers. Maybe I might be wrong, but I noticed that in francophone countries, drivers are a bit scared, timid, reserved. So don't do this, and they are held back. So I think for them, they sort of like managed to find it to work, and it sort of like played on the intelligence of those drivers. But with our presence on the ground and like with our partners pushing, they managed to like turn this around.
Well, one of the things I want to add for the for the first question about the competition, I think that one of the thing I really like about Wave, that because what I know is that whenever like we are in the country, we are like the competition are focused on Wave, like oh, Wave is going to do this, let's do this, let's block them that way, and different example as you gave. But the only thing we care about is customers. So we are looking to two different directions, right? So, I mean, like I will not wake up this morning and say like how I will beat X competition or Y competition. For me, it's like how I'll just going to make my product great and for it to fit in the market and win the market. So I mean, we have this ability to be like laser focused on one thing and making it very good, without, if your product is good, obviously, like, and you are making it like the product is great, it is accessible, reliable, and obviously we are pushing hard with different strategies, definitely going to work. So I would not say we don't care about competition. We are really humble about competition because sometimes they are there for decades. So they have a lot of experience, so we take that with a lot of humility, but the definitely is not the focus, right? The focus is how we are going to make our product work and stand out.
I would like to add something because I had a colleague also sometime who say in a meeting that he was grateful that he was. We're not doing like Wave like Adland for real. We're just sharing like our experience. He was saying that he was grateful because a competitor launched something and no one talked about it like within the team, or it was not a topic of conversation because we were focused on what was actually our roadmap. And something that I think is also important, because I know we have a lot of entrepreneurs, people who want to build startup here, is not everyone should care about competition. The competition is most of the time like we have the CEO who think about his strategy, about how to like make sure that the product, the business is competitive. But everyone on the team need to be focused on what they have been hired for, like what are the expertise. So you can't be like, for example, I'm a PM on a product that is not touched by the competition. I have no business caring about what they are doing. Is not going to help me do what I'm being hired for, what I'm being paid for. And I think even when sometimes I talk with young entrepreneur to be like, oh yes, but this competition is doing this and that. And I'm like, you don't even have like enough user to care about them yet. So you should focus on, as Salim said, on having a great product and having actually user will love what you are doing before thinking about, okay, this big corporate or this big company is doing that. Because if you have a good product, people will use your product. That's the most important thing. Someone asked a question. I don't know who.
Maybe quickly, you can go back to the question. What do you do after you launch the country, basically? I think you guys answered, but just, yeah.
The question was, what do you do if you want to launch a country and there's no other country to open after you are done?
After you're done, like opening all your countries and there's no other countries. I mean, for us, what we do is to look at, so when we are launching in the primary city. So when we've exhausted the pool of countries that are appetizing for us, now we start looking into the same country, the second tier cities. So typical of CIV. First, the service was launched in Abidjan. Now you have Yamoussoukro, you have Bouaké. So now from the main city, you start looking at the other peripheral cities that are interesting for you. So you can cover the entire country.
Well, I don't reach there yet, and we are keep growing, but like we have a lot of things. For example, we have one country launcher, doing great, and who will stay longer in the country. For example, because like launching a country is different than being the number one in the country. Is different. I mean, I think that each companies have their approach, but launch a country is like, okay, we know that, okay, like we set up operation in the business, like the product is great, we have a great traction, is working, and then we can go and hand over to a local team, for more expertise people to scale the country, to scale it. So like if there is no more country to launch, I will probably go to the launch team, the scaling team, because we have this team that will take, because I say that like we country launchers basically take the country from 0 to 1. But the question is, what is happening after 1 is 1 to many. And there's a team there that do large scale product management, like project management. And, we are talking about millions of users, and this is a different skills, different way of thinking. And, that can be interesting to go to the scaling team. And yeah, I mean, the company is big and there's a lot of like exciting thing to do inside the country, or maybe move to a position of director of operations or something like that, or Kiani or PM, Kiani's team, like a PM. But yeah, there's a lot of things to do, even like within the area where you have some skills, which is like, yeah, probably scaling teams, scaling up the country or something like that. But there will always be something to do. Always something to do.
Okay, next question from the chat. How would you launch a content business like Netflix in many countries? And beyond country launcher, yeah. And beyond country launcher, what other role do we need generally in the launch team? I don't know about the Netflix one.
I mean, I'll try and answer the Netflix one. I hope I give the right answer. But you see, Netflix is a digital platform. And I mean, you don't need a lot of online physical presence to be able to deploy Netflix. So you just need to like target the digital space. So for example, let me take Yango as an example. Your users that you want them to download the Yango app and use it, you need to target them digitally. So what do? You're running performance campaigns on various, so you're doing Facebook, you're doing Google, like various channels, you're doing like TikTok, various channels that you can show your application for people to be able to like enter the platform. So if you want to do something like Netflix, I would say go digitally, try to push it through all the various digital platforms and get people to like subscribe or start using it. Then after it starts scaling up, you don't even need Netflix, I haven't seen any Netflix billboard in any city that I've been to, but people are subscribing to Netflix all the time. So you just need to like focus on the digital space and use all the various digital channels to push it. And the follow-up question was the roles that you need in the launch team. I mean, in the launch team, in the business itself, you have like all the various teams that are supporting the launch. Okay, so you have like your projects team, you have like your product or the technical, the products team, you have your legal department, you have your marketing department, you have your GR, you have your PR. Like all these people are there supporting the launch. But when it comes to the launch team itself, it's just like a 1 man or a 2 man solo going to do your thing. On the grounds, you're alone. All these guys are not there with you. It's after you start the process, or like you've launched, then they start coming into the country to deploy all the things that they have to deploy physically. But most of the work that they do it remotely, trying to support you and push all the right buttons for you to be able to launch.
Well, I think there's a good case study of the Netflix of Africa who have a postmortem. I think he's Tonji Bankang, and I really strongly advise you to read it for the person who asked the question. I don't have a response to that, but my way of thinking is trying to understand what is very important if you have to have this thing. And Netflix is a content sharing platform. So to do that, you need the content, and the content comes from creators. So you need creators to put the content there. So it's basic chicken and egg problem, right? Do you have enough viewers to have more content creators to your system, or are you going to have a lot of content, and have? So I think you always have to crack this chicken and egg problem first, and then make sure that you have what the people want in your platform, and they will always want content. So you need to really invest in the content space, and make sure that you have a good sourcing of content. It's like you want to launch like a food delivery app, and you don't have in your platform the restaurant that people want. People never order for your food, right? So it's something like that. It's always the chicken and egg problem. And I strongly advise you to read about Tonje Bankang. I think it's Afro Stream or something like that. And on my personal note, like Salim, I also advise you to, not advise, but recommend you to read The Cold Start Problem is a book, which is a very good book if you want to understand what's going on the network effect space. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, for the role, I think that you gave a lot of response, so that's why.
I think we also have like Jason Joko, who wrote about Iroko TV. So if you look at on Medium, he has a lot of articles where he explained what didn't work with Iroko TV, which was also Netflix for Africa. So you can check that out. We had.
I have a question here.
Yeah.
You guys talk a lot about what you do, and my question was about what do the company has to do behind you for you to be successful? Because we don't understand what you guys do, but what do Wave do? What do Yango do in the back end so that you guys are successful?
I mean, GR, which is government relations. You need PR. Of course, you need the money. Without the money, none of these things is going to work. So you need the money that informs you that, okay, you are able to or you're going to have like a successful launch, because everything that you want to do is being derived or being driven by the money. And also the company puts all the various teams like in line to support the launch, because bear in mind that you have deadlines, or you have strict deadlines to meet, and someone needs to make sure that all those other people are on board and they are meeting the deadline, and it is only the company that can do that. So maybe I am pushing GR, but GR is not moving the way that I expect them to move. then my boss comes in and like escalates and escalates and gets them to move. So the company makes sure that all the various machinery are behind you to deploy successfully.
Like, yeah, I mean, yeah, you have the companies that what we need and usually have from the companies like necessary resources to execute. So resources is money, is branding, is different stuff. So that's the resources. And there are other things that we can't do. Not only about the ability to do, but it's a lot of distraction for us, usually that are operation oriented. So we have people taking care of the central bank relationship, the PRs helping with the biz dev side if we need to sign a contract with someone to make sure that we have this free space to be executing what we have to do. Then obviously the most important thing is the resources to support you. Yeah. So
We have a question.
Merci déjà pour votre exposition. Bon, désolé, je comprends pas trop bien l'anglais, mais j'ai plutôt perçu quelques mots et en fait, j'ai compris c'est quoi un country launcher. Maintenant, je voulais vous demander, est-ce que dans vos fonctions, vous utilisez des IA ou des logiciels, quelqu'un qui vous aide dans votre métier? Et aussi, est-ce que, contrairement à, on va dire, aux années avant la COVID, où on n'entendait pas beaucoup parler d'IA, et à maintenant, est-ce que vous, dans votre manière de travailler, est-ce que vous constatez que l'IA a correctement, on va dire, faire évoluer votre manière de travailler ou bien vous travaillez sans les IA sans problème?
alors c'est une bonne question. En fait, l'IA, selon moi, c'est ma réponse personnelle, ce n'est pas une solution, c'est un outil qui t'aide. C'est un peu comme Internet. Donc, qui t'aide à accomplir quelque chose de spécifique. La question fondamentale que je me pose, c'est est-ce que je vais utiliser, comment est-ce que l'IA peut m'aider à convertir une femme dans le marché qui ne sait lire, qui ne sait écrire, qui ne sait même pas aller sur Google. Donc, est-ce que c'est pertinent pour moi en ce moment? Non. Donc, en fait, l'IA n'intervient pas dans mon espace de travail, en fait, dans mon day-to-day. Par contre, je travaille avec une compagnie où la langue principale, c'est l'anglais. J'ai un niveau acceptable en anglais, mais si je veux faire, par exemple, un report à mon CEO, je veux que ce soit clean. Est-ce que je peux demander à l'IA de m'aider à le mettre dans un format bien adapté, facile à comprendre pour mon CEO? Oui, je l'utilise. Donc, c'est comme ça que je le vois. Donc, en fait, on embrasse le changement. Et pour tout dire, en fait, on a même accès à ChatGPT Enterprises, tu vois, pour nous aider dans ça. Nous avons accès à des outils IA pour nous aider à rapidement comprendre les données que nous avons. Éventuellement, on a toute une équipe de data qui sont hyper réactifs, mais parfois, ce que nous on cherche, ça se joue à l'instant plutôt que d'attendre 1 heure de temps, 2 heures de temps. Ça se joue en fait à 1 minute, 2 minutes. Donc, on a des outils pour ça. Donc, en fait, pour moi, l'IA n'est pas une fin en soi, c'est un outil que chacun utilise et il adapte en fait à sa manière de faire. Ça, c'est seulement ce qui concerne mon environnement de travail. Si j'étais par exemple un ingénieur ou par exemple Kiani, qui est product manager, c'est sûr en fait qu'il y a un meilleur impact. Voilà, nous, on est dans l'opération, on est dans le front desk, on était sur le terrain aujourd'hui encore, bien que je ne sois pas dans mon pays d'origine, toujours sur le terrain. Et donc là, l'IA n'est pas très relevante, mais il est peut-être relevant pour des choses dont je viens de donner quelques exemples en fait. Donc avant la COVID ou après la COVID, la réponse reste la même pour moi. Moi, je vois ça comme un outil et toutes les fois où cet outil-là peut m'aider dans ma productivité, je n'hésite pas en fait. On embrasse le changement. Voilà. Je ne sais pas si j'ai répondu. Voilà. Donc, I don't know if you understand you translate to him. Yeah, okay, cool.
Yes, so I mean, currently AI is plays an integral part of our work that we do. So let me give you a very simple answer. I am an English speaking person, but I'm managing a French speaking country. So of course, I rely on AI almost every day to translate everything from French to English so that I can understand and translate from English to French. But also one thing that of since the inception of AI, our internal tools are sort of like have AI embedded in them that allows you to be able to like analyze data very fast. And I mean, as a person, you are looking at the numbers and trying to make meaning out of it. But through AI, you're able to like do a quick analysis and have like a clear interpretation on what is happening. So it's part of the job now.
C'est pratiquement la même réponse, hein. Il l'utilise pour discuter avec des équipes qui parlent une différente langue que lui, il est anglophone. Et comme il a dit, même pour analyse des données rapidement, il utilise l'IA. Donc, c'est pratiquement la même chose. Mais c'est une question pertinente, hein, seulement que, par exemple, si tu parlais à des ingénieurs, leur réponse sera différente de la nôtre.
The last question that we have from the chat is, what are the key questions asked during the recruitment of a country launcher?
Well, you go first.
I mean, I wasn't interviewed for for the role, so I don't know the key questions that you ask a country launcher. But uh, yeah, because I was already in the business, the potential was there, so I just drafted into the role, no interview. But see a country launcher as a GM. So the kind of question that you would want to pose to someone interviewing for a GM role, you can those same questions can go for a country launcher. Just that a country launcher is more of like an ops on ground person.
But what type of question you ask to a GM?
I mean, GM, you're looking at the business in general. You're looking at you want to make sure like the person understands the numbers, is able to like analyze data. That is very, very key. If you're a general manager and you cannot analyze data and make meaning out of data and direct where the business is supposed to go or what needs to happen, it's a big problem. So your key focus is someone that is able to understand numbers, interpret the numbers, and make certain key decisions based on the numbers.
Well, I don't think there are made up questions, but there are important things to look at. First, the ability to solve problem. I mean, it's not first because not in the specific. I will just put in whatever come to my mind. But like, can you solve a problem? If you are in front of a problem, can you solve a problem and can you solve it autonomously, or at least can you come up with an approach? Can you work with a team? You know, because at the end of the day, you know, yeah, you can be the one man army at some point, but you have to work with people. Can you work with a team? We want to, like, at Wave specifically, the culture is very important. And one quick anecdote, like I remember, like my manager says, so like I have my project, and then I come with the KPIs approach, and then yeah, he has some technical question, but you know, more often was about the culture. And then I moved to the CEO, and I really prep, like, you know, everything is one more about the culture. So at Waves, the culture is very important, right? And so you want to know if, like, you can be a very good ambassador for the culture. Like that's also important, because at Wave, every single person, like, you know, if I'm in CI or even in Senegal, wherever you see, you feel like oh, you're in the same company. Obviously, it's the same company because we have the same culture everywhere. That's important. Problem solving, if you're alone. If you can manage resources, is very important. If you can manage projects, small project, large scale projects, it also is important. Um, like if you can communicate, it's about communication. If you can communicate very clearly also is very important. Yeah, those different things, not in a particular order. There is not made up questions, but there are some very important things like to know. And first, and I mean, in our case, is what's really important. Can you be on the ground every day, and you know, and yeah, never give up and be someone that can be reliable on the field and that can lead other people as well. So yeah. Ah, ok.
Bonsoir à tous. Désolé si je vais poser la question en français. Moi, ma question, c'est de façon pratique. J'ai un produit que je veux lancer et implémenter en Côte d'Ivoire. ce produit n'est pas dans les habitudes des Ivoiriens. Quelles sont les différentes étapes que j'implémente le produit en Côte d'Ivoire? Pratique, hein?
On va peut-être faire la même.
Ça dépend, c'est quoi le produit?
Ouais, c'est.
Pommade de cheveux, par exemple.
Non, non,
Alors, un produit financier, une application permettant de vendre.
En fait, je pense que la question fondamentale, parce que moi j'aime toujours l'approche de first principle approach. La, la chose la plus importante, c'est de savoir quel est le problème fondamental que tu résous. Fondamentalement, est-ce que tu résous un vrai problème? Et dans ça, il y a plusieurs types de problèmes. Parfois, il y a des gens qui ont des problèmes, mais qui ne savent pas qu'ils ont des problèmes jusqu'à ce que tu leur apportes une solution. Bref, il y a deux écoles, mais la question fondamentale, quel est le problème que tu résous de manière fondamentale? Qu'est-ce que tu fais de mieux que les autres? Qui sont ceux qui ont ce problème que tu veux résoudre? Qui sont-ils? Est-ce que tu les as identifiés? Euh, Comment est-ce que tu les segmentes et comment est-ce que tu les approches? Je pense que c'est la réponse à cette question qui te permettra en fait par où commencer. Je vais te donner un exemple très simple. C'est vrai que la question n'était pas très précise, mais la dernière startup que j'ai lancée, quand j'ai lancé, je ciblais les grands restaurants. Voilà. Et ils étaient tous sur ma plateforme. J'étais content. Mais j'avais moins de 20 commandes en fait par semaine. Et moi-même qui ai lancé le produit parce que j'avais mis toutes mes économies, tous les midis, j'étais dans l'équivalent des gabadromes ici. Et je me suis rendu compte que c'est là où il y avait tout le monde. Et donc finalement, je me suis mis à recruter, à intégrer tous les petits restaurants. Et là, mon truc a décollé parce que je me suis posé ces questions fondamentales. Mais je ne les avais pas posées au début. Donc en fait, c'est vrai que j'aurais aimé, comme Kani, essayer de faire avoir une question plus précise. Mais c'est vraiment essayer de comprendre, c'est qu'est-ce que tu résous finalement. À la fin de la journée, qui est-ce qui va en bénéficier? Est-ce qu'il sera content de bénéficier de ça? Qui sont-ils? Et en fonction de ça, tu peux pouvoir les approcher. La manière dont tu vendras, euh, je vais donner un exemple simple. Si tu es dans le truc, je ne sais pas, dans l'épargne, je ne sais pas des produits financiers, la manière dont tu vas me vendre en fait un produit sera forcément différente de la manière dont tu vas vendre ça à quelqu'un qui a 40, 50 ans. Eux, ils pensent à la retraite. Moi, je ne pense pas encore à la retraite parce que j'ai beaucoup de choses à faire en fait. Donc, qui a ce problème? Qui sont-ils? Comment tu les segmentes? Et en fonction de ça, tu sais comment tu les approches. Donc, voilà, je ne sais pas si votre Amen.
Arrêtez de cacher vos produits. Soyez clair dans vos questions. Mais ouais, thank you. I think that's all the questions from the chat. I don't know if we have more questions from the audience here. No? Okay, I think it was very rich. We learned a lot. I didn't have time to ask all my questions, but that's okay. I think we had a lot of content tonight. Thank you a lot, Sadim and Elliot, for like your generosity. For the people who are new to Tech Republic, every event are free. Every expert who come and shares experience do it for free. It's just about like giving back to the community and having everyone learning from each other and becoming better together. So thank you to Yongo, who accept that we do that here for free, and to the people who also help us organize this event. So thank you. And if you want to join the community, there's two ways. The first one, if you need to be recommended by an active member of the community. By active, I mean someone who talk in the group, not ghost, because we don't want more ghosts in the community. And the second way is you need to come like at least 2 times to a meetup. And if you want to be added to the community, you can go to Abraham, which is a tall guy at the end with like the glass. And yeah, thank you very much for coming. We have food at the back. We have drink too. And yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, oui, mot de fin, like ending word. She's good at moderating. You should. Yes, if you have something that you want to add for the people who are here today.
Yeah, I mean, thank you, Abidjan. I always love the city. Like, unfortunately, I couldn't stay here more than 2 weeks. But thank to you, like really, like to Tech Republic. Like I love for people that are not in Tech Republic, like, but I love the type of convo that we can have, the type of learning. Like, Mulai, thank you very much for being here. Like, we appreciate it, and yeah, so that's it. As I say, I didn't come alone. I come with like four country launchers with our manager. So maybe if you have follow-up questions, you can meet them. Unfortunately, I'm the only one with my wave cap, so like I can introduce you to them after. And thank you, Kiani and Sabine, like really like managing a community, and Abraham, and all the people working with it, like managing a community is not something easy. Like you have to babysit us, like and thank you for being patient. We have unfortunately been to the traffic jam, and yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you guys for having me. Thank you, Sabine, for putting me on this. It was good to share my experience with you guys. I hope to be back again. Abidjan is always a beautiful city to always be in. And I mean, I'm here for another week. If you have any question, I mean, you can get my contact from Sabine, and then we can discuss more, talk more about lunches, so I can give you more stories. But yeah, it was a good one, and I love what you guys are doing. It's a good thing. Let's keep it up. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's my back. Kiani.
Thanks everyone online. Bye-bye.
Today, I have to retrain myself to put Benko on the spot when they ask a question for recruitment. I was like,